Oh gosh, I kind of forgot my name. Well, if I like put out all my family's names, Cristina Gabriel Aversia Gordillo Carrillo Bucaram.
Coming into this class, I had no idea what feminism was. It's completely new to me, and now that I've only had like a week and a half of it, but just reading those books and being around so many people who deal with the same things, I never realized how much it affects my life and that it's affected my life, my entire life, and I never even realized it. Also, I talk a lot about my family because they're how I got into art. They're usually people that stress you out and have a tendency to. So when I learned about, when I was transitioning from like 8th grade to high school, my family decided to let me know about my real family history. Basically, I'd been lied to my whole life, which is, so just one night they sat me down and they told me the truth about my ancestors and where I came from, and it was just kind of, I would say that I grew up mostly in Ecuador and in Lebanon with the Texas twang in there because that's where I went to school, but summers and mostly not summers, I'd spend lots of time away from school.
As I grew older, mostly like transitioning into high school that year, is when my parents kind of revealed to me the truth about my whole family. You know, why my father really did move to America is because, you know, his family, you know, when he was little was basically, they all were completely killed and died, and it was, you know, horrible tragedy, you know. So, I mean, of course, he had to move to America. You know, the same with my mother, you know. Horrible thing, but, you know, however, they met in Texas, you know, and ironically enough, me and my sister, you know, were with my brother, you know, were popped out, you know, a few months later. And, you know, I mean, it was just shocking to hear, you know, the truth about your family, especially when people who are your close relatives, you learn that they're your extended family and your, you know, close bloodline isn't really there, you know. So, I mean, that's kind of hard to accept at times.
You have to understand, like, I was grown up thinking that these people in my life died of like weird incurable diseases. And here I am sitting and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, all this sounds unreal. And also, you know, the people that I thought were my relatives are actually not my intermediate relatives, they're my extended family. So, how did I deal with this? You know, I went as far away from my family as I possibly could. I went to the Dominican Republic and I lived there for about a year doing community service, where I don't think I've ever learned so much about myself, and I had to let go of so much anger and really teach myself how to love, since I felt like I had never been loved and that everything I lived was a lie. So this is how I started doing art, is when I came back to school. I didn't want to do anything but music, and that was just, couldn't do that. So I got into art, and I just, as if clay was experimenting with many things, you're going to see me go through many different mediums. Just because I felt like, since my father had always ingrained in my head that I was never good enough at anything, that basically I just go through many different mediums trying to figure out what I liked. But this was my introduction to clay, and it's ironic because I never wanted to I didn't like clay. I thought it was boring. I was like, yeah, but all you do is you mold it and you can call it something. And my teacher was like, no, I think you might like it. And this is kind of how I found my medium, I guess, or my favorite thing that I like to work in. At first I wanted to do something that would show how confused I was, because I was like, okay, what does my family do to me? It makes me confused. It makes me crazy. It brings about a family of emotions within me, which is kind of why I wanted to make a family of oil pots. Basically, my idea was just that I would make either something extremely twisted or sorted, and then either that, or I could do just like a succession, where they continuously get larger, of a base, and they all have the same base, and as they get taller and taller with the same width, you could see more and more of my arm appearing. And I was thinking maybe I could do like casts of my arm, or maybe have 2 arms or 3 arms coming out of each one, until it eventually got tall enough to where you could see my hand. And I thought that would symbolize just kind of my process of digging deep through my emotions, like, just because my family brings about so much in me, and sometimes I can't always identify that emotion that goes with it.
So it's kind of my process of how I reach and reach and reach, yet at the same time I feel like I am absolutely reaching towards nothing, towards thin air, I guess you could say. So I don't know if it's cliche like reaching, but I thought that presenting more of the arm could symbolize or represent some more of like a new discovering, yet eventually, you know, I really have no idea what I'm reaching for sometimes.
You know, that's a pretty potent image, Christina.
Now I think I'm just excited being able to share so many just deep personal things with so many people and meeting so many awesome people and just sharing that with them. And I'm excited about starting to make the work. So it's exciting to see how all of this is going to come together, definitely, because everybody has such unique talents.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm so glad that y'all are. My daughter has an opportunity to be taught from a wonderful artist, so I'm looking forward to see all the wonderful things that y'all are creating.
Working really hard.
That's
Yeah.
right.
This is our ceramics.
Her ceramics teacher.
Hi,
It's so nice to meet you.
Yes.
She's been wonderful, you know, giving Christina a whole space and lots of help. And it's
That's
really
great. That's great.
I can't wait to see them done now.
Yeah, okay, let's see. We're just looking at surfaces and then we'll give you your daughter, okay?
Okay.
Here, just float through.
Oh, that is so. And how did you come up with this idea?
I don't know. You guys stressed me out to the point to where I just thought of it.
Oh, that's so good. Thanks, Christina. That's Daddy. Ah.
As many people have commented, my father does look like a phallic symbol, and I said, well, that's fine. He's just, you know, a male. And so planning is important. That's the only thing that's stressing me out, is that I'm hoping that nothing breaks, nothing cracks, because I'm making
Glue.
I don't know why I'm laughing right now, because it was pretty bad. The problem was Susan was trying to be nice and get ahead, so she loaded 2 of them in there. I didn't know she was loading them in there, and an hour later I get a call saying, "Where are you? Can you please come by the art room?" Basically, she had gotten distracted instead of paying attention to the film, and my 2 biggest pieces, the ones that I have rebuilt now, were blown to shreds. By shreds, I don't mean like little pieces, I mean like powdered dust shreds. Susan was pretty discombobbled, so I was pretty composed. I was being very encouraging. I think it was after I left that I realized that, oh my god, I'm traumatized, and the tears came. But I didn't cry at first because I had to stay kind of calm so that I could figure out what the heck I was going to do. You know, am I going to rebuild these and finish this project in 2 days? You know, what took me a week to do it in 2 days, or am I going to just not do it and use, you know, half my family and make it work from there? Always be prepared for mishaps. I was definitely in here an hour before my flight left. You know, of course, like you have to go through customs, you have to go through all these places when you're going overseas, and I don't even want to tell you how horrible it was. I was in here the day I was leaving, an hour before my flight left, bawling, you know, trying to finish, you know, that pot, and my sister was yelling at me on the phone, "Christina, I mustn't miss the flight, you have to go." So, I mean, when everybody's kind of yelling at you, you have to just kind of calm it down. I realized that part. But everything worked out. Susan came and helped me out a little bit later on during the day when I was on my flight. Not gonna say I didn't worry about these while I was gone, because I did a little bit more than I should have. But they've been kind of like my babies, so I mean, just kind of been praying that nothing else goes wrong. I think my mother should be a different color than that, and I can actually kind of create and control this color, so that will be. I mean, I think if she was the same color as my father, that would insinuate that they're equal. And definitely they're equal, but they both think that they're higher than one another. My mother thinks that she's on a plateau, yet my father seems to rule the house, yet my mother does in some other ways. So I think it's appropriate they should be different colors.
literal.
But it's good because honestly, I got to reconstruct my mother. We bonded a lot the past, I don't know. When she came up, we rebonded, I guess you could say. So it's good that I got to reconstruct her. And my brother, I made him look more like a phallus because he forgot my birthday and so he deserves to look more like a phallus. But that's okay. The next task at hand is going to be getting these suckers over to Cohen. Now that is going to be pretty fun. I should only imagine. But it should take a few hours to load these in a car and unload them. But, yeah. So we shall see. We shall see. What I've discovered about making these pots is that my concept of what I was creating them like in the beginning is different from when the end. I felt like my project took complete control. Like the clay completely did its own thing. You know, not only did they blow up, but I think they blew up for the better because, you know, I got to reconstruct my mother, which was a huge thing, you know, because we've changed our relationship so much this past semester. Like the distance for us was really good because we always used to fight. It was such like verbal abuse that it became unhealthy. So, I mean, now we've become actually very close, which is really scary. Also, it's awkward how the colors came out and they each match each body individual, even though that's not what I wanted them to come out like at all. You know, in a way, I think it affected my realization of my family rather than healing me. I think it just like allowed me to see them better. So now I can kind of work with them better. I definitely did learn one thing from this project that my housekeeper taught me, and that's why she's in one of my pots, is el único que no tiene solución es la muerte, which means the only people who don't have a solution are dead people.